Hello, everyone. Today we are here, the three of us, me, Dr. Kathryn Rossi, and Hubert with us. We are starting a new series around here, and we're going to be analyzing an incredible session that Dr. Kathryn Rossi did with Hubert. The session is a part of a bigger project where we were trying to, inspired by the work of Dr. Milton H. Erickson, together with Aldous Huxley, we were trying to enhance the creativity within Hubert, who is a writer, by going through series of experiences, through series of hypnotic sessions. And we're going to be watching the session performed by Dr. Kathryn Rossi.
That's exactly correct. And the idea is that we want to be able to enhance the creativity for all the psychotherapists that are watching this. We do quite a detailed analysis, the three of us, of and you can experience your own response to these things. And hopefully it's going to spur on a tremendous amount of creativity for psychotherapists. And it's been just a pleasure and an honor working with Hubert. He's quite a gem.
True. I can confirm that. Hubert, would you like to add something?
Hello, everyone. I'm Hubert, and I'm a writer. But I have a problem, the biggest problem a writer could have. I am not able to write. And that was my problem. And with Jacek, we decided to follow the footsteps of Milton Erickson and Aldous Huxley of their experiment of trying to enhance the creativity. There was 8 sessions with Jacek, and then a very interesting session with Dr. Kathryn Rossi, in which we enhance our creativity. We talked about it, and we visited some very interesting parts of our minds and of 90s and and the early 20s. So if you want to go with us on that adventure and hear a lot of things about creativity, writing process, old school rock and heavy metal music and other stuff that spontaneously comes through our mind because of the hypnotic sessions, feel free to follow our voice.
Exactly. So there's gonna be rock and roll, there's gonna be heavy metal, there's gonna be deep experiencing, detailed analysis, and a lot of fun attached to all of it. Right?
So be sure and join us.
Exactly. So have fun with us on that project. Welcome to Experiencing Consciousness. My name is Jan Dyba.
And I'm Dr. Kathryn Rossi. We're happy you're here.
Well, I think all of us are
Same
doing
here.
it now.
Okay.
Okay. So I gonna switch off my camera and my microphone. I'm there. I'm all the time. I'm with both of you, but I'll be like a phantom. So do anyone of you has any questions to me before I gonna depart?
I've never used pin before, but I just pinned Hubert, and so he's big on the screen.
Okay, let me check if I can.
Okay.
Do this.
So I don't know what it means to pin. It's the first time.
It's only the second time I use Zoom, so I will not help too much with the technical issues because I am a beginner.
Oh,
Yes,
you know, it's easy. There's never any stress. It's that, you know, we do the best we can. And, you know, if something happens, and then we do it again.
Of course.
And so there's, it's just no stress whatsoever.
So my questions here are, Dr. Kathryn Rossi, you're saying things like, you are telling him that generally that everything's gonna be okay, and that if anything we're gonna start do it again and so on. So my question is, if this is just to give Hubert proper kind of safe space, or are those also suggestions for the future trance states, like, you know, suggestions for coming down or things like that?
Well, it's compassion firstly, but secondly, it's seeding. That generally speaking, the first words that a client says are the indication of what it is that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think along the lines of seeding. And so in going into the truth, which is also extremely important, is there's zero manipulation, but there's the planting the seed.
Mm-hmm. And by those things, when you did that, what was your, you know, conscious intention? I mean, to see what, the calm, the trance state as a state, or something else down there?
Well, it's all kinds of things, you know. It's to create a rapport, you know, firstly, that you know, a rapport, to create a connection, to create the place of safety. You can be who you are here, you know. You don't have to do anything, you know, that just, it's just as it comes to you. So it's primarily in creating a connection that is real and that is compassionate, but it's also seeding that we're in for something that you haven't done before, is the implication.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it also that when you say that you don't need to do anything, isn't there an implication that something else is gonna do it for you, like your unconscious mind, for example, that you consciously don't need to do anything now?
Well, you know, I just like to leave it at planting a seed.
Okay.
And when you plant a seed, you don't know if it's going to grow. The seed doesn't have to grow. You know, it's I don't have expectations about that. It's just you know, you put it out there. You know, you plant a seed and then you see, you know, what will happen.
Okay, so we're gonna see what will happen.
Okay.
All right, so let me go further.
And by the way, in my experience as a mountain guide, it's very often that people are worried, for example, that they will have to do something that I didn't tell them, and it will be difficult and they might fail or something, even before going on a boat or something. And when they know that there is absolutely nothing that they should do, they are feeling quite good. But sometimes they think that, for example, they will go on the boat, even though somebody's rowing for them. They think that maybe there is something they don't know, that they will have to do something in a correct time, and they are not aware what, and they might be afraid of that. So when I heard that don't have to do anything in particular, I stopped worrying that maybe there's something that I forgotten that I had to, in a correct time, I have to do some special thing, and I don't know, I might be stressed about this kind of stuff. So that's useful.
When you said that, I mean, isn't that actually cool? Because Hubert is actually saying to us that what you did to him, or what you said to him, actually launched his own private associations, unconscious and conscious associations with the situation, with his own personal experiences connected to tour guiding and stuff. And so, you know, his experiences of providing safety to his customers and stuff. Am I correct, Hubert?
Yeah, exactly. This is what the kind of stuff before rafting, for example, what I tell them. Yes, for sure, there's nothing you have to do. There is nothing you've forgotten about. There is nothing that can go wrong because if you're doing it first time, like that.
Cool. I mean, you know, I so many times I say I try to, you know, explain that to my students, that actually hypnotic suggestions or anything else connected with hypnosis, actually what works down there is that it launches persons, hypnotic subjects, whatever you want to call the person, private associations that actually build the experience, and this is the such a pure example, wouldn't you say, Dr. Kathryn Rossi?
Mm-hmm. That's why I thought it was important to talk about this in the beginning, and that this sort of thing will be repeated, throughout the time in various ways, in planting the seeds and whatnot.
So in this way, in this particular time, you are actually building a framework, or therapeutic framework, or hypnotic framework that says you are safe here, you don't need to worry about anything, and things will happen by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Very nice.
And I'm gonna hit this. Okay, now I see both of you. I hope that this will be enough. And let me just, where is it? Okay, so do anyone here has any questions to me, or do you need anything from me before I gonna go into the oblivion?
I don't think so.
Hubert?
Probably no.
Okay, so both of you take care. If you need me, I'm still here, but I'll be quiet.
Okay. So it's nice to meet you. And Jan was saying, there's different directions that we could take today. We could take the direction of having a session.
Yes.
And then talking about your project, or we could talk about your project and then, have a session. It's really what pleases you.
I think we can start a bit about talking about the project and have the backstory and the context, and then if you would like, we can have a session, and I will be honored to have it.
Okay, so to me, pretty interesting dynamics here at the beginning. Apart from me saying that I'm going into the oblivion, I just thought to myself that I also may kind of put a bit into the preparation phase for the induction, because that may have launched some kind of associations as well. But apart from that, after saying nice to meet you, you say to Hubert that you can go in different directions, and you say that we can have a session first and then then talk about the project, or talk about the project first and then have session. And by that you are actually cover some possibilities. And my idea, I mean, my reflection is that you are that by that you may also you might wanted to say to Hubert that we're gonna do two things today, and we're gonna take care of both of them. We're gonna talk about your project, and we're gonna do something else. Then the project's gonna happen also. And then you say to him, it's up to you, it's your choice. So another thing that happens in here, in this small kind of part of the conversation in this pre-hypnotic stage, in my impression, isn't that the first place that you actually place the burden of responsibility for the process of that experiment, of that experience, onto Hubert's shoulders?
Absolutely. But because my favorite paper of Erickson was the burden of effective responsibility for psychotherapy, and that belongs to the client. And so if I'm doing everything, then Hubert is learning nothing. He's experiencing nothing. And I'm here in service to him. It's not about me. It's not about if I have an agenda or not. It has nothing to do with that. It's really focused on what's interesting him at the time and the direction that he wants to go to. And this is true in every psychotherapy session I do.
Cool. Thinking if I may want to add something to it. I would have a question for you, Hubert. Did you actually notice that this was the time where responsibility for choices, for deciding, you know, what to do and stuff was actually given to you?
Yes, because depending on what I chose, it will everything will have a different dynamics. If I choose to go right away into the hypnosis, we will basically start with that, and after that, what me saying about the project and the context after being in a trance, I will probably say quite different things than when I was saying in advance. Like my story will prepare the trance, and then the other way around. So I know that it was giving me the choice of how I want the whole story to go, in which kind of dynamics. So that was nice.
So it's basically you felt more freedom of choice, and that deciding actually which way you want this process to go.
Yeah, and actually more or less what I was a bit worried that when we will start by doing the session, it will be like more generic. It will be not as related to me and my previous experience as it is when I was able to share the context in front. And probably some people are not that interested in the context or stuff. They just want the real deal to happen right away. So some people will prefer it the other way around. So it was making the whole session go into the way that suits me and what's my like personality.
So it also enabled you to have your needs met in a more detailed way. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and it was nice for me that I knew that after saying this like a introduction, the session will be more personal. It will be more related to me, not the more generic session with a random person. Like.
And one more thing. Okay.
Well, there's another aspect of understanding ultradian theory. And when I'm sitting down for the first time with a client, there's usually 15, 20 minutes that goes by of talking about other things. And in this case, because there was that this is a project, you know, this is an experiment. And so that this time, this ultradian time of approximately 20 minutes, that he used it well. And then after about 20 minutes, typically then a person is ready to go into trance. So tell me about your project.
The project was that it was basically focused on lost ability to write things because I used to be quite okay writer, I must say, in a Polish, and it was something very natural to me. But at some time in my life, after releasing one novel and one non-fiction book, I found myself working a lot as a tour guide, as a mountain guide, having my own company, and then I discovered that any work or any activity connected with writing is like exhausting to me, and I'm actually absolutely unable to do it. But not because I don't have ideas, because I have like a lot of ideas, but I am able only to write them down and to have like a full story as an idea. But I'm physically incapable of sitting and writing stuff, and that was the main focus that we started. But in the end, I think that we also unblocked a bit of other things, actually, because the problem that I didn't actually realize is that I don't know, having kind of an idea about writing and stuff, like something that I must do as a thing, that if I don't do it, it is a very big problem to me, like that I'm wasting time doing anything other, and that this is activity that I really have to have to do. And the blockades were about probably connected a bit about lack of like lack of thinking about how others will think about this, like what clients will say, if it's good enough, or is it really exactly the thing what I wanted to write. And Jacek was during the project make me think about it more like a side hobby, which I don't have very big expectations about, and I don't have very big things connected to that, like not an ambition to turn it into another work, because I already have at least few jobs to do, and I didn't have space in my mind for another work. But right now I am actually able to do it. Except for that, I still have problems, but not with absolutely the other things than it used to be. Before that, I was really sitting and struggling and like physically hurting, trying to actually write down all the ideas that I had. And right now, I also don't write very often, but it is mostly because I'm a bit lazy, addicted to internet, unfocused, and have other stuff to do. But when I do feel nice, I sit and I'm really capable of doing it the same way as I used to. It's a very nice way for me to chill out. Even before that, I was thinking about like a exhausting thing that will drain all of energy from me. And now it's like my thing that I use for chilling out and for having good time. And actually, I think that the things which I write now are good, are just on the same level as it used to be. I found a great joy about it. But also there was one plot twist, one very interesting plot twist that maybe Jan didn't mention before. After working during the experiments with all of my different kinds of blockades and different kinds of things that I don't know stopped me from doing what I want, in the end, my life changed a lot, because actually after long struggles, me and my fiancé will be parents. Just in the end, just after in the end, after a lot of decisions, we discovered that yes, a long time struggles that we didn't know why they are not working. They actually do work, and now I know I will have another hobby, which will be probably even more interesting and needed a little more focus. But yes, in the end I started a project about trying to become writer again, and right now I ended up as a hobbyist writer who will become a father.
Well, congratulations. And may everything goes smoothly for this joyful experience.
Yes. But of course it didn't end up like that miraculously. I am focused all the time, and I can work a lot of things. I'm still a bit lazy. I'm still do a lot of procrastination. I'm still quite addicted to reading on the internet a lot of stuff that grabs my attention. Fortunately, not the worst things in the internet, but this like middle one, like going from a Wikipedia article to another one and reading just about some random things from the history. But it is okay. And it helped a bit with my work, because I was also on the website of my tour company. It was very hard for me even to describe the day that we will wake up, go to the mountains, visit the town, and so on. Even that was for me a big struggle to write. And right now I'm doing it like casually, like I don't even think about it. It just goes through the fingers, all the things. So actually the experiment was very interesting. Some things I still don't understand, and I think that maybe with Jan, when I will be able to write it down, he will explain a bit to me what actually happened. Sometimes I don't even know if I was in a trance or I wasn't in the trance, or what was it. So it was for me it was how to say, an interesting time of the life, actually.
So my question is to you, Dr. Kathryn Rossi. I mean, Hubert actually says a lot of different interesting things here. And
yes, actually, I must say I am absolutely impressed that you were able to follow this story and to understand it, because when I listen to it right now, I hear like a total chaos of my vocabulary and the plot I was talking about. And some Polish idioms translated directly into English that absolutely are not don't mean what I wanted. but I'm impressed that you actually were able to follow this story.
Okay, so my question is, I mean, what was your, I mean, when you listen to it now, and maybe you can also recall, what was your thinking at that time? What were you thinking would be useful? What could be utilized, and how do you actually kind of put all this into a? How do you understand the case of Hubert? I mean, what can be done? How what you took from all those informations, from all these details? What was important? What was your strategic kind of thinking in here, or any kind of thoughts, ideas?
Well, I listen and take it in, and actually, Hubert, you spoke very well. It's not when you're speaking just about your life versus being able to write, it comes out a little bit differently, and I thought you did a really good job. So what I was hearing in the beginning was this vacillation on writing. It's easy, it's difficult. It's physically exhausting, it flows. I was hearing a lot of both sides of the spectrum of that, or both sides of the coin, which is really honest, because we aren't all one way or another. There are these kinds of vacillations that go on, and I noticed he was moving a lot. And so that was going into the back of my mind. And then there was a couple of things of, making mention about, being lazy, procrastinating, addicted to the internet. And I'm thinking, this is interesting. I wonder what's going to, happen with this. And so that was just going on in the back of my mind, of a lot of movement. And then the ability for him to distract himself from getting other things done, and then interpreting it as being like sometimes lazy and procrastinating. Howsoever, when he spoke about this upcoming baby, and as it was leading into it, the joy was so huge. And I wanted to know, it's like, well, when you're going to do a psychotherapy session, you're not going to start with the joy, right? But I had this sense that that this incredibly joyful, uplifting person has a few things to work through, but who he is in his heart of hearts is this like incredibly joyful person. So I was really excited. So, to more specifically answer your question, Jan, information gathering.
Okay.
That, it's not necessarily that anything strategic was going on in my mind, but I was gathering information and to try to, to wonder really, what might be useful. And again, I was really listening carefully for really, what is the problem? Is there a problem? That sort of thing. I was listening carefully for that. And the problem was not really defined within that exchange. But I knew for sure, and this really was a strategy, is that when there is a first baby coming into the world of new parents, they need support. And so I really was wondering, how can I weave in support of this new baby? How can I weave that into the therapy?
Okay. So that was one thing. How would you interpret, or if you were able at that time to interpret the fact that he, while talking about his difficulties writing and the procrastination and stuff, he was moving all a lot, and being so energetic at the same time? Is that like, is there an ambiguity down there, or and if yes or not, how to view it?
Well, I think it's going to come out in a couple of minutes, in our dialogue together. But I was looking at characteristics associated with attention deficit disorder, which I have renamed personally attention variability, and I don't have disorder on it. But it's a way of processing information in a person's life. And to be honest with you, and I thought, I've got this little hypothesis, and I'm never going to be able to know for sure, because we're not like, I haven't done testing, we're not face to face, etc. But I was beginning to wonder that. And I was thinking about all of the great things associated with attention deficit. And so I was actually really excited about it. And so that was, again, listening of, and that if that were part of his makeup, how I could help him to see that as a superpower. So to go along with his joy. So those were the thoughts that were entering my mind.
Okay, so eventual reframing, and actually you saw the ADD or ADHD as an asset, worth utilizing and thinking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I mean, in this respect, I'm well, I don't know how unique I am, but I'm always looking for the positive in anything. And so I can usually find the positive in things, but particularly in ADD.
Mm-hmm. And as I've heard, you've got your own experience in that.
Oh yes, I mean, I legitimately have this diagnosis, and I'll tell you what. And now that I've known it for like 30 years, but I was a full-grown adult, when it was discovered. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Like all of this time in school and things like that, and whatnot. And so I was not upset when I got diagnosed with it. I was relieved. And anyone that has, almost anyone that has ADD, they have the ability to hyper focus. And so you can really get things done when you hyper focus, but you can't, things that are boring, it's really hard to focus on, and you look for a lot of distractions. So, so some of that, was coming from, personal experience and personal knowledge with it. And again, that I see it as positive. And I try to see any diagnosis as what are the positive aspects of it. For instance, when there's a depression diagnosis, that person has an uncommon ability for sensitivity. So it's a question of how do you use the best of being depressed? How do you use the best of being anxious, or whatever it is, that it's not all that down, terrible, I have a diagnosis, oh my God, it's going to follow me a lifetime. I like to pull out the positive aspects of it. And so that's me in general. And but I can make ADD sound so good that you want it.
You'll be able to sell it.
No, well, it's the sort of thing that it really, I mean, you see the joy that's in me, and you see the joy that's in Hubert, that this is not uncommon for people that have ADD to somehow have this abundance of joy if they haven't been smashed down, for all the things they can't do.
How was it in your case, Hubert? Have you been smashed down by all the things you cannot do, or were you embraced by all the cool things you can do, or was it neutral, or was it somewhere in between?
Was quite, as you see, I got quite excited when I was talking, so I was most focusing about if my story makes any sense or if I that I was hyped for the other next part.
You were what? Sorry?
I was hyped, like I had a hype for that. I was looking forward to continuing.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go back to the session.
Well, that sounds wonderful because, ultimately that I'm happy to tell you that, oh, this is my cat, B. This is just, a joy. I have no expectations, no requirements, that sort of thing. That what happens is what happens. What you do with it is what you do with it. So I just, I'm going to encourage her to be elsewhere.
Okay. My dog is already missing me elsewhere.
So here you already start building both of you rapport based on something that's common. You both have animals, but before Ruby actually entered the scene, few important things, or in between. Sorry, you talk about joy, and you put it together with no expectation. And you say to Hubert, whatever you do, you will do, things like that. Whatever happens, happens. So there's, a lot of freedom connected with joy and no expectation. Is that further building the framework, or, what is it?
In this case now, because I said similar words right in the beginning, in this case, I was talking to his unconscious mind, and I was noticing that slight differences, very slight differences in rate of speech, where he was talking slightly slower. He wasn't talking slowly, it was just slight. And so I was seeing that it was like a pre-time of entering in trance. And so I wanted to reiterate again that whatever happens, it's going to happen. And so also the positive expectations of that.
Mm-hmm. So you are actually seeding here the idea, or or naming the cues for or signals that for the fact that the trance state actually emerges somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It was close.
Okay.
Trance was close there. Then he wasn't in trance, but it was I call it the prodromal signs of it, that it was inevitable.
Okay. Did you, Hubert, did you actually notice that at this moment? Have you felt that something is like altering, or was it, just in a pre-phase?
No, at this moment I was feeling like having a conversation.
Okay, cool. So it was mainly indirect then.
Yeah, I was feeling like during chatting.
Mm-hmm, cool. Slow, delicate alterations that were somehow facilitated and supported, right? And also by that directed, because if you focus on something and you enhance it, somehow you kind of direct the situation in that particular way. Isn't that right? Indirectly.
Yes, that there's another aspect of this, and that is that when you go in to do psychological work, particularly in trance, there's two sides to it. And one side is generally really difficult.
Mhm.
And then there's the other side of it. And with Hubert, the other side of it was so prominent that to strengthen that helps to give more courage to the depth of working through. So I was kind of thinking along those particular lines, because I know, Jan, you're really interested in, strategy of, why does one do what they do? And so in this case, as I was making the anticipation of not even knowing what difficulties we might, enter, but having that strength on the other side of the solidness of the joy.
This was another episode of our Experiencing Consciousness podcast. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jan. You're the best. Be well, be happy, celebrate life.